All right, Greg. Look, we got to talk off-season Carolina Panthers now. Look, this team started off quite bumpy road with Bryce and new head coach Dave Canales, what Dan Morgan wants to put together. And they ended on a great note, in my opinion. They ended up high. They ended with a quarterback that started to prove himself a little bit. And you're starting to see the culture that not only Dave Canales but Dan Morgan have put in place. If you were to assess what Bryce and what Dave have done in that one first year, how would you put a bow on it?
Well, I think for the first time in what feels like a few years, it seems, at least at the moment, that there's some stability at the two most important positions, right? The head coach and the quarterback. And, halfway through the season, I'm not sure if we all would have been confident enough to say that, Bryce had been benched and Andy came in. And then obviously through a series of kind of unforeseen events, Bryce finds himself not only back in the starting lineup, but playing the best ball of his young career. And I think it allowed everyone in the organization, and especially Bryce, to just take a deep breath and say, okay, for the moment, we're good at quarterback. Let's continue to build this roster. We don't have to chase a quarterback again this offseason in the draft or in free agency.
I'm looking at Canales' scheme and the way he's really been bringing Bryce up little by little. How important has his style of scheme been to Bryce's development?
Yeah, I think Dave did a great job, building the system around Bryce's strengths. I think that's something that there was a little disconnect on last year that led to them obviously making the coaching change. Is it didn't feel like Bryce was overly comfortable operating in the manner in which they had him operating. And I think Dave has done a nice job kind of focusing in on where are Bryce's strengths. He seemed to play a lot more comfortable. They made big investments in the offensive line, and that was a huge turnaround to just allow Bryce to feel a little bit more confident in the pocket and kind of get back to the Bryce that we saw in Alabama, where he was willing to hold the ball and move around in the pocket and create plays and throw off platform and create plays downfield. And I think that's something, obviously, we didn't see that style of play out of him his rookie year. So I think Dave deserves a lot of credit.
Now let's put the Carolina Panthers to the side now and talk about the two teams that are remaining right now, the two teams heading to the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. What do you see between these two teams and who may come out on top of the Lombardi?
That 22 season, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts were the runaway, MVP favorites, and Mahomes obviously ended up winning, but Hurts had that was probably the best season of his career. And, I'm not sure he gets enough credit for, the impact that he makes on that Eagles roster. When you look big picture, I've said this for a long time, I've called a bunch of Eagles games all year, it's probably the best overall roster in football. And then, of course, on the Chiefs side, until someone proves they can beat them in a meaningful moment, I don't care what deficiencies they have. I don't care what their numbers suggest about their passing game and Mahomes having a down year. None of it matters. Everything about that organization is critical moments, critical games, and playing their best when it matters the most. And I think that really summarizes Mahomes' entire career and really his entire run there. Until someone is able to beat Kansas City, you got to kind of show me you can do it, because right now, no one's really proven to be able to consistently.
Officiating has nothing to do with it, whatnot. There have been some calls, and whether it's the championship games or even throughout the season, where a lot of the fan bases are saying, hey, how are these calls being played? Do you, as a former player, when you were currently playing, and then on the analyst side of things, did you ever look at it and say, this is just blatantly off?
I think fans have a tendency to only remember the calls that go against them or the things that were said against them. And I think that's all fan bases. I do not believe referees are going into the game trying to pick and choose the winner. At times, do they get calls wrong? Yes. And sitting up in the booth, we're the first ones to say it.
What we do know is that it's going to be fireworks in that Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Greg Olsen breaking it all down. Greg, thank you, brother.
You got it. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.